to the Ramses RunDown. It's your opportunity to sit down with the Miasma Zakk Ramses and friends and talk a little bit about what makes the mind of the Wraith tick here. And that could be in regards to many things. Today we're going to be talking a little about music. Today we're going to be talking about me and my friend Justin here, one of our favorite bands of all time, the mighty Black Sabbath. And as you can see here, between the many things here, talking about Sabotage. Sabotage is, for those who are unfortunately unaware, the sixth studio record of the band. It is it's a seminal work for them. Many people regard it as one of their best, but there's also controversy around it. Both historically speaking, in them, there's certain tracks on here that throw some people off. And so, Justin and I here, we're going to talk about our individual 3 favorite tracks off the album. We're going to make a group 3 song list of our favorites. So, Justin, anything you want to say about Sabotage to start off here?
Yeah, I mean, it's evident from the fact that there are several copies laying around us. It is absolutely worth listening to and owning on multiple facets. I know that it's a particularly close one to your heart. I think it's great as well, and I'm excited to kind of talk about some of the better hits off of it. But outside of the 3, if you've liked this album or if you haven't listened to it, check out the songs that we don't mention as well, because it is very much worth listening.
Oh yeah, no, and there's a lot of diversity on this album. It's not a straightforward Black Sabbath record in what you would expect in a lot of ways. And that's one reason I do love it so much. So, my number 3 pick, and yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be in order for you, but this is just,
of course,
I'm going from...
It's very hard to come up with an order anyways, because this could switch any day of the week.
Yeah, exactly. But so, my number 3 is Megalomania. It's the closer off of side A. Big, longest studio track that the original lineup ever did there. And, just lyrically, you go into the psyche of someone with this horrible disorder, and vocally, Ozzy does some really cool stuff. Bill comes in there, Bill Ward with the cowbell, and just you get so many different shifts in momentum during this song. And it's big, it's epic, it's deep at the same time. It's so cool. And I wish I could see this one live, as I could say about multiple tracks on here. But that's one that, because of how much of a dynamic shift there is throughout the song, I would love to see that in person. But Ozzy ain't hitting those notes in. That's my number 3. What about you?
I think that's a great pick, and it very well could have cracked my top 3 as well. But I think that I kind of, when I think about this record, and I think about the kind of difference it holds from other records that came prior to it, like the real kind of departure in some ways from their sound, and also from their structure, as you can tell from like the many longer tracks on this. I'm going to go with the Writ. Because, I mean, you talk about the closer on side A, I think the closer on side B, the closer of the album overall, that is, it's one of my favorite closers they've ever put out. I mean, again, just it's very fascinating that on a record with already 2 songs prior that are kind of those longer epic tracks, like this, the Writ being, is just a fantastic kind of a very good atmospheric closer that kind of captures the vibe of the album, I think.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to go with the Writ.
Well, my number 2 is the Writ, and
feel free to add on.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I think you covered it pretty well there, but the Writ, again, the anger and that song, for those unaware, is literally just Ozzy Osbourne's lyrics, not even Geezer on this track. It's Ozzy talking about his frustration with Patrick Meehan and management and what brought them to this point. And again, just the words and the way he delivers the lines. I mean, the suck me, like he's putting out there just like, screw you guys. And it's this big, powerful track. And the transition from Am I Going Insane Radio with the laughter and the manic crying right into this track. It's a beautiful closer to a mad record. And I'm definitely a fan. So that's my number 2. What about you?
A great pick. I'm jumping to the other side of the bookend now. I mean, Hole in the Sky is, on any other record, it could have been the best song. My number 1. We'll get into it. I was going to say our number 1. Yeah. I mean, But yeah, Hole in the Sky is just to the point about kind of getting a very different vibe. Like this, to me, I think of all the tracks, potentially feels the most similar to what we've gotten from Sabbath.
Yes.
In some ways, I kind of get like a Volume 4 vibe. Like, there's like that little bit of it's not as heavy, but like it's still Sabbath.
Oh yeah.
Hole in the Sky, a great way to kick off the record, but it does not prepare you at all for what's to come, which is still nice because it gives you something very, variety, spice of life. It's very, very good song.
Oh yeah. I mean, and Ozzy throughout this record vocally really tries to hit some high notes, and he has really, in my opinion, one of his best vocal performances. Tony's guitar tone on that song is just phenomenal doom, just what he does well. I agree. That said, there's only 3 spots on the list, and so it didn't make my 3, but I know we have the same number 1, which is Symptom of the Universe.
Yep.
I've said this for a long time. It is one of my all-time favorite songs ever written. I'll never forget. I'll never remember who said it, but I'll never forget it. It's the anti-Stairway to Heaven, where it starts heavy and moves into melodic and groovy, and that Stairway to Heaven starts slow and beautiful and grows into a rock and roll kind of rocker there. And so it's the demonic version of Stairway to Heaven. And Stairway to Heaven is called by many the greatest song of all time. Symptom of the Universe is, for me, it's this is Black Sabbath in just power and beauty and just incredible lyrics, and just it's phenomenal on so many fronts. And I could rave about it for days and days, but I love the song, so that's easily my number 1.
I mean,
as well.
You pretty, as I said, it is absolutely my number 1. There was no question. I mean, it's one of those songs that completely rules the already great album that's on. I think that as far as the performance on it, I mean, you mentioned Ozzy's vocals being so good on this album. I love even just whenever I think about it, I get goosebumps. Just the drawn out kind of while fucking geezer's just going crazy. You have a really again a very heavy start. I mean, it is undoubtedly one of their top 3 at least. I think even riffs that they've ever written. It's just and I mean to the point talk about Sabbath kind of showing what they can really do with diversity, because the way that it kind of just to your point becomes that melodic piece towards the end, certainly not a completely new thing for this band. At this point, people knew they had it all, but to perform it and execute it in such a beautiful way, in contrast in the same song, is kind of new for them in this way. And I just think that was a brilliant song. I'm gonna listen to it tonight probably.
Yeah, and to your point about the riff, I mean, you create the archetype for the new wave of British heavy metal, for the beginnings of thrash. They do that in one song with Symptom of the Universe. And it's and then you see everyone that came from that. And obviously, it's not all directly from this song, but to me, this is one of the earliest examples of that vibe you'd get from Motorhead or Metallica or whatever. And that's just the power of the song to me. But so that said, making a top 3 between the 2 of us shouldn't be too hard here.
No,
we got 2 out of 3.
I was going to say, I think that we have a similar placement for at least our number 1.
Yeah, so we'll have Symptom of the Universe is number 1. We agree on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Writ being your number 2 and my number 3 means that it belongs on the list. I'd go with number 2, frankly, because again, I think that I just think it's that good. We both thought it was that good.
We've talked about this before, and we'll talk about this another time as well. Black Sabbath openers and closers are 2 very incredible lists, and in regards to closers, the Writ, I don't know where it lands for me. It's a conversation for another day, but it's a top tier track there, and and there's a lot of great closers, but it is in that conversation because of how great a song it is, and its position on the record.
And should we talk about it later on too? I don't even know if it is my favorite closer, or whatever. But that being said, great band. The Writ being number 2 is totally fine with me. And frankly, as far as our number 3 spot, with the 2 songs, Hole in the Sky being my pick, and obviously Megalomania being yours, I feel either one of them could easily be the number 3. I actually almost put that as my number 3, so I think that's valid.
I'm personally going to vouch for your pick, ironically, over mine, just for diversity's sake for this 3 here, just because we get the longer track with the Writ, we get kind of the melodic bit in the second half of Symptom of the Universe. At least Hole in the Sky, we kind of get more just kind of classic Sabbath. So for me, in rounding out those 3 kind of approaches, that'd be the one that I'd go with.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. Obviously, I picked it, so I can't complain about that.
So you have it. Number 1, Symptom of the Universe. Number 2, the Writ. And number 3, Hole in the Sky. So, again, Sabotage. Love it to death. Brilliant album. And as Justin said, there's plenty of tracks on here that if you haven't listened to this album, please go out your way to. And many of them will not sound anything like anything else on this album, and that's what's so great about it. But then you get classic Black Sabbath. So, that said, if you enjoyed this, tune into more Ramses RunDown as we go here. We'll talk more music. We'll talk more a little bit of everything. And Justin, thanks for joining me. And all hail Black Sabbath and hail the Riff Lord Tony Iommi. So, you heard it from Miasma. So, yeah.